Welcome to Patty's Aquatics. Now in today's video, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to be doing an unboxing video of sorts. What happened was I got a package in the mail from Hygger. What they sent me was the Hygger Planted 24/7 Aquarium clip-on and LED light. Now what I'm going to do is take it out of the box, show you some of its features briefly, but more importantly, I want to throw it in one of my tanks and then compare it to my cheap $5 shop lights and see if there's a difference. Well, I took the light out of the box, and first impression, I'm fairly impressed. The build of the light itself is very sturdy. It's not a cheap, flimsy light. Another thing I noticed is actually the length of the cord. It's fairly long to the point you should not have to struggle to be able to plug it in anywhere. Then the other thing I noticed is actually the extendable clips for the light here. They are also made out of a very sturdy material. It's not a cheap, flimsy plastic, which is very key. And then this light itself is the 30-inch model, so it'll fit on like a 29-gallon, a 20 long. Tanks are on those sizes. So the next thing I want to do is figure out what tank am I going to put this on. So I decided I'm going to put it on my 29-gallon back here. The reason being, I'll show you in a little bit, but first take notice of what the light looks like on this tank now. This is my cheap shop light. I want to see comparison-wise what it looks like from here to when I put the Hygger light on there. Well, I got the light set up on the tank. First impression, it's fairly bright. Now, is it as bright as that shop light? I don't know if it is, but the thing that I noticed is don't have that yellow tint anymore. And honestly, the colors of the plants and the fish just seem to pop a lot more than those shop lights. So far, it's a thumbs up for me. But let's take a closer look at the features a little bit, and then we'll go over a few things. Well, this is the tank with the new light on. One thing I do want to mention is that I do believe that this specific model of light is more meant for a rimless tank or one that does not use a cover. The reason I say that is if you look here, the bracket itself is resting on my lid and then hovering just over the trim. Where if I took the cover off, it would come down flush to your rim, but I don't want to take the covers off. I like that for keeping the heat in and also fish from possibly jumping out. I still like it this way, and I still think it looks really cool. Now, if you want to use it on a rimless tank or one without a cover, if you put it down flush, they provide these bolts, which then in turn get screwed into the holes here, which will tighten onto your rim of your tank if you choose to. Well, let's show some of the features of this bad boy. First and foremost, how do you turn it on and off? Well, that's this button right here with that power symbol. A long press is going to turn the light off, and one single press will turn the light on. Now, as far as intensity, if you see the light here that's lit up, that's showing that it's at 100%. If you want to cycle that, that's the up and down arrow button. You hit that, and you can cycle through to whatever intensity you would like, and I like it bright at 100%. The next thing is there are all different colors to cycle through. Again, this power button, you do a single press, not a long press, and that'll help you cycle through all these different colors. And there are quite a few of them, and they can create thousands of different color variations, which I'll explain right now. And that's in the DIY mode. By hitting that, you can change the intensity of all these different colors to create your own color that you want specifically for your tank. And to get out of that, you just hit the DIY again. There's also a timer that can cycle through between 6, 8, and 12 hours. Then also the moonlight timer, which is 2, 4, and 12 hours. And that all works with the 24/7 feature, where you basically set the timer for whatever time you want it to go on and off. And then what it does is it'll have a ramp up light to lead to your white light, have your daylight time, and then it'll start to ramp down with blue to create a moonlight. And that's the 24/7 and the timer feature, which I find to be very cool as well. Now, the instruction manual that does come along with it does explain everything in specific detail on how to go about changing any of those options and features within this light. All honesty, it was a little confusing reading it at first, but once I played around with it and read it, it all made sense. So why did I choose this tank to use this Hygger 24/7 planted light on? Well, the reason being is because of that algae back there. I want to know if this light will help diminish that algae. Now, all my tanks have this algae for the most part somewhere in the tank, and I always blame it specifically on that bright shop light I used. Just because of the immense light it put down into the tank, it helped create that with the amount of nutrients I have in my water. So I'm very curious to see if this light will make a difference on that algae. The other thing I need to look out for is this light going to be bright enough? Is it going to be able to help my plants thrive and grow and thrive? Because that's very important for the ecosystem within my dirted planted tanks here. Now, if you're asking, would you recommend this light? I can't fully recommend it yet. I need to watch and observe it for a couple months. I need to see, is that algae going to diminish? Are my plants going to continue to grow? But not just continue to grow, I need them to thrive and flourish, because that's very important for the ecosystem of my planted dirted tanks. But what I can do is say I'm very impressed with the build of this light. It's made of very sturdy material. It's not some cheap, flimsy plastic one. I'm also very impressed with the different features this light has, from the 24/7 feature, from the timer, and all the way to the different color spectrums you have to be able to choose from. So those I can highly recommend. So if you're interested in this light, I will put the Amazon link in the description of the video. I also put in the description of the video the links to all of Hygger's social media platforms as well as their website. I highly recommend checking out their website because they have a lot of cool products on there, and I've heard lots of good things about their lights in the past. This is the first one that I'll own, and I expect nothing but the best from them, and so far I am not disappointed. So if you're interested in a Hygger light, go check out all of their info that I will link in the description of the video. I want to say thank you again to Hygger for sending me this light so I have the opportunity to test it and show everybody just how good it possibly is. That being said, keep an eye out for an update on this video on this light in the next couple months, and we'll see how this tank progresses. If this kind of content interests you, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you do, make sure you hit that notification bell because you don't want to miss that update of this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you next time here at Patty's Aquatics.